The storm hammered against the crystal windows of the Skyhold citadel, turning the world into a blur of silver and ice. Princess Leora stood stiffly in the center of the chamber, her hands clenched into fists beneath the flowing sleeves of her ceremonial gown. Today was the day she dreaded. Today she would be married off not to a diplomat, not to a powerful warrior, but to a nobody, a poor dragon, a dragon without a clan, without a fortune, without any status at least. That's what she'd been told. Behind her, the massive doors groaned open. Her father, King Arion, entered with a face carved from stone. "It is decided," he said. "For the treaty with the southern tribes to hold, the marriage must happen today." Leora's throat tightened. "Father, how can we trust them if they offer us an unranked dragon? What kind of alliance is that?" "Their chieftain swore the boy is honorable," the king replied. "And honor is not measured in wealth." Leora almost laughed at that. In the dragon realms, everything was measured in power, breath strength, wingspan, lineage, treasure hoards. A dragon without any of that was barely considered a dragon at all. The ceremony was small, private. Only a handful of attendants and guards stood witness as her groom entered the hall, and Leora's breath caught. He was tall, much taller than an average man is. Dragon heritage was unmistakable. Faint golden patterns shimmered beneath his skin like molten veins. He walked with a strange mix of grace and hesitance, as though he belonged here and yet didn't. His name, she'd been told, was Kale. Kale bowed his head respectfully. "Princess Leora." His voice was low, warm, steady. She didn't return the greeting. The ritual was quick-binding bracelets of old draconic design. A vow spoken in the ancient tongue, a sealing touch of hands. When it ended, Leora felt a weight drop into her chest like a stone. She was now married to a nobody. The journey to Kale's home, if one could even call it, that was worse than she expected. He led her through rugged cliffs and quiet valleys, their only companions, the wind and the distant roar of waterfalls. Leora wore layers of silk and gold. Kale wore simple leather and carried a travel pack, slung over his shoulder. Every step reminded her how far she'd fallen from the royal halls. Finally, they arrived at a small stone dwelling built into the base of a mountain. No guards, no servants, no wealth, just emptiness. Leora's jaw tightened. "This is where you live." Kale set his pack down. "It is quiet, safe. It's pathetic," she snapped before she could stop herself. He didn't argue. He only nodded, expression unreadable, that almost irritated her more. The following days were strange. Kale cooked simple meals over fire, always offering her the best portions. He repaired the roof single-handedly after a storm, when she couldn't reach the higher shelves. He adjusted them without being asked. He was gentle, patient, respectful, and Leora hated it. Kindness was harder to resist than cruelty. Cruelty justified anger. Kindness made her feel guilty. One evening, as the two sat under the stars, she finally spoke. "Why did your tribe choose you?" She said bitterly, "If they wanted an alliance so badly, why not offer someone stronger? Someone of status?" Kale stared into the fire. "Because they had no one else." Leora blinked. "No one else. My clan fell," Kale said quietly. "A plague. Then raiders. I was away training when it happened. When I returned, everything was ash." Her anger dimmed a little. "I didn't know. I didn't expect you to." Silence fell. The fire crackled between them. For the first time, she wondered if she'd misjudged him. But everything changed the day the raiders attacked. It was early morning. Leora was gathering water from the stream when she heard the first explosion. Smoke billowed over the ridge. She dropped the bucket and ran. Kale was already in motion, charging toward the village that lay at the foot of the mountains. His eyes glowed, burning golden scales flickered across his arms, like armor waking from sleep. The raiders were there in numbers, brutish mercenaries from the iron wastes, armed with plasma axes and shock spears. Civilians screamed as huts burned. Kale roared. It wasn't a human roar. It was ancient, draconic, powerful enough to shake the earth. His body shifted not fully into a dragon, but into something between forms. Wings burst from his back, shimmering gold. His claws glowed like molten metal. His breath ignited the air in a sweeping arc that sent the raiders scrambling. Leora stood frozen. He wasn't weak. He wasn't nobody. He wasn't poor. He was terrifying and magnificent. Kale fought like a warrior born. He moved through the battlefield like living fire, protecting every villager he could reach. Leora barely saw the attacks coming before he blocked them, shields of golden energy flaring from his arms. Within minutes, the raiders were driven back. Those who survived fled into the mountains. Kale stood panting, smoke rising from his skin, golden eyes dimming. Leora approached him slowly. You're not a low-born dragon." He exhaled, exhausted. "I tried to hide it. Why?" she whispered. "Because your father would fear me," Kale said, "and the tribes would try to use me." "Use you for what?" Kale hesitated. Then he said the words that changed everything. To rebuild the dragon warriors. Leora's heart nearly stopped. The dragon warriors were legend elite protectors of the ancient realms, sworn to defend the innocent. Their line had vanished centuries ago. "You're one of them," she breathed. "No," Kale said softly. "I am the last heir." The truth crashed over her like thunder. He wasn't a poor dragon. He was royalty, hidden deeper than her own bloodline, a living myth, and he had saved her life without hesitation. In the days that followed, everything around them shifted. The villagers revered Kale. Children brought him flowers. Elders offered blessings. Word spread quickly, rumors of a golden-winged warrior who fought like the sun itself. Leora found herself watching Kale in a new way. How he trained at dawn, breath steaming in the cold air. How he spoke gently to frightened villagers. How he treated her with respect, even when she gave him none, and guilt twisted inside her. She had hated him, dismissed him, belittled him, yet he had carried a burden larger than she ever imagined. One night, as moonlight spilled across the mountains, Leora stepped outside where Kale stood alone. "I judged you unfairly," she said. Kale didn't look at her. "You judged what you saw. Many have. I was wrong," she whispered. "Deeply wrong." He finally turned. His eyes glowed faintly. "Why does this bother you now?" "Because you saved me," she said. "You saved all of us, and I treated you like you were nothing." Kale stepped closer. "You've never been unkind, only afraid." Leora swallowed hard. "Afraid of what?" "That your life was no longer in your control," he said gently. "You didn't choose me. You didn't choose this marriage. But I would never force your loyalty or your affection." She felt her chest tighten. "You're not what I expected. And what do you see now?" Kale asked quietly. Leora held his gaze. A warrior, a protector, a man worth far more than any throne. Kale's expression softened. "And what do you want now, Leora?" She took a breath, steady and sure. "To start again, if you'll let me." He smiled, truly smiled for the first time. "I would like nothing more." The days that followed were different. Leora walked beside Kale instead of behind him. They worked together, trained together, learned together. Their marriage, once a political trap, became something forged by choice. And when the tribes learned the truth at the last, Dragon Warrior lived there, united behind him with a respect no treaty could ever command for Leora. The realization hit her deeply. She had not married a poor dragon. She had married a legend. And one day, standing at his side as his equal, she would help him rebuild an order that would protect the galaxy again. Not because it was duty, but because she loved him. Asterisk,